Hi, this is Leah Klein, health and wholeness coach. And today my question for you is, are you isolating yourself? Our verse is Proverbs 18:1. Whoever isolates himself seeks his own desires. He breaks out against all sound judgment. Are you isolating yourself still for self-protection? And that could be fear of infection, or that could be fear of the hurt of relationships, or people saying unkind things, or afraid that people won't hang out with you. A lot of different things can come up in that. And are you, withholding your gifts? Because part of that, and part of why it's saying that that is selfish, basically, in our verse, is that our gifts are meant to benefit others. God gave us gifts not for ourselves, but to give to others, especially those in the church body. And when we are isolating ourselves, it is really hard to be exercising those gifts and helping others with those and fully using what God has given you. Now, we're not meant to live in isolation. We never were. I mean, the garden was not isolated in the Garden of Eden. They were dwelling with God, and there were two of them. I mean, he did figure out that there needed to be more than one person as part of that equation. But even then, when there was only two humans and God, it wasn't alone. We weren't meant for that. We are meant for community. We are meant to be with each other. And as our verse states, it breaks out against sound judgment. It's not in our emotional best interest to do that. It has caused no end of issues psychologically with people who have isolated themselves and aren't spending, time with other believers. It's just, it creates issues in our mind, and we just don't adjust well. I mean, there is some truth to the you learn to relate to other people by relating to other people. If you're not doing that, those skills get really rusty. And it's not good for our social skills. It's not good for our emotional well-being either. And this goes for isolating on any level. I mean, yes, if you're sick, or if you are really, really fragile on your health at a particular moment, then that might be a good reason. But ask yourself if that is absolutely true, because a lot of people are isolating themselves that don't really need to be. And also, though a lot of this is disappearing now, I still hear occasionally it's getting less and less of people that aren't going to physical church. It's like people have gotten sick whether they were going to church or not. And there haven't been any mass outbreaks in churches. Personally, our church didn't meet for a couple of months. By summer, of 2020, we were already meeting again. And we kept meeting, and nothing has stopped our meeting together. Now, mind you, it helps that I'm in Arizona. So we did not have some of the restrictions that were forced on people in other states that were against their rights. But take advantage of the opportunity to be with other believers. I mean, I know that there is huge benefit in time away and time spent one-on-one with God, but we're also supposed to be learning from each other and supporting each other. And we can't do that as well when we don't know each other. And we can't know each other if we don't spend any time with each other. And you can develop a certain level of relationship online as long as there's some one-on-one component to it, but it's never going to be 100% the same as meeting somebody in person. And bear that in mind, when you're thinking, oh, I don't really need to go to that, or I don't really need to, it's so much easier to go online. It's like, yes, that has been a blessing, and we can do certain things online, but don't do everything that way. To get out there, it's for your emotional health and physical health that you do that. Now, as a call to action for you, I want you to ask God to show you where you need to reconnect. In this instance, we're not talking about disconnecting from all that. Some of you may need to disconnect from it a bit if you're over connecting. But if you have not been connected, reconnect and ask God to show you where He would have you reconnect. Don't just reconnect for the sake of reconnecting, but let Him show you where He wants you to reconnect. And I want to finish up with a song, and feel free to sing along if you're familiar with this. Some people call this "We've Come into this place." That is not really the way I learned the song. What goes around in my head when I sing it is "come into this house" instead of place. And so that is the way I will be singing it today. And I want you to think about that is, God is calling you to His house, His place of worship. So join me if you're familiar with the song, or feel free to just listen. We have come into this house and gathered in His name to worship Him. We have come into this house and gathered in His name to worship Him. We have come into this house and gathered in His name to worship Christ the Lord. Worship Him, Jesus Christ the Lord. Let's forget about ourselves and concentrate on Him and worship Him. Let's forget about ourselves and concentrate on Him and worship Him. Let's forget about ourselves and concentrate on Him and worship Christ the Lord. Worship Him, Jesus Christ our Lord. And I will see you again next week with another verse.